Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. The Warriors are winning a lot of games and this team is showing that it can go far this season. The Warriors will make roster upgrades and a point guard and a big center will be priorities. Stephen Curry has risen to MVP status, while the rest of the team has improved with the arrival of Butler. However, Golden State needs to prove that it can compete with the best teams in the NBA to prove that it is a legitimate contender, and its next stretch will allow it to do just that. Warriors want to sign Donte DiVincenzo. The Golden State Warriors will always welcome lethal perimeter shooters with impressive track records, considering they love to launch as many triples as possible nightly. Although the February 6th trade deadline has passed, the Stephen Curry-led Warriors could acquire an ex-New York Knicks fan favorite and sharp shooting guard this summer. Following a serviceable 2022-23 campaign with the Dubs, Donte DiVincenzo signed a 4-year contract with the Knicks in free agency. From a scoring and three-point productivity standpoint, DiVincenzo enjoyed the best season of his young career, netting 15.5 points per contest while shooting 40.1% from beyond the arc. The Knicks fell to the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference semifinals, but DiVincenzo undoubtedly established himself as a high-level and reliable threat from deep. Surprisingly, New York felt compelled to shock the NBA world last October by including the Villanova product in a groundbreaking 3-team trade involving the Charlotte Hornets and Minnesota Timberwolves. The Knicks received Karl-Anthony Towns and the draft rights to James Nagy via Hornets. The Hornets received Julius Randle, DiVincenzo, Keita Bates-Diop, and a future first-round pick, and the Hornets received Charlie Brown, Daquan Jeffries, Dwayne Washington Jr., 3 future draft picks and cash considerations. Despite getting off to a rough start from three-point land with the Timberwolves, DiVincenzo has hit his stride lately, as the 2018 NCAA champion is on pace to connect on at least 39% of his triples for the 4th consecutive month. Suppose Buddy Hield, a Warriors asset who plays a similar brand of basketball, doesn't deliver for the Dubs down the stretch. In that case, Golden State may enter the offseason believing they need to find a viable replacement. DiVincenzo would be a trustworthy option for Steve Kerr's perimeter-oriented Warriors, but they would have to work overtime to lure him away from Minnesota once free agency begins. Warriors targeting Tuesday for Brandon Podziemski's return. Podziemski has missed 4 straight games. Brandon Podziemski remains sidelined by a minor low back strain, but there's a light at the end of a short tunnel. The Warriors are hoping for Podziemski to return next Tuesday against the Milwaukee Bucks, Steve Kerr said before Golden State's game against the Knicks on Saturday. The Knicks game was Podziemski's 4th straight night in street clothes and Monday's Nuggets game will be the 5th. Podziemski suffered the back injury in the first minute of the Warriors' nets in the Barclays Center on March 6. He's averaging 10.1 points, 4.9 rebounds, and 3.4 assists while ranking 3rd on the team in plus-minus. In his rehab process, he has advanced to on-court work and conditioning recently. When Podziemski returns, the Warriors will have a bloated rotation. Jonathan Kuminga is back from his severe ankle sprain and playing in short bursts. The team has been committed to keeping Gue Santos in the mix as a glue guy and Gary Payton too is playing the best ball of his season. Golden State played 10 guys in their win over the Kings, and Podziemski rejoining the mix makes it 11. It's just really hard to play more than 10, Kerr said. I also know that oftentimes these things work themselves out. You know, not everybody's available. I would hate to take anybody out of the rotation now the way everybody's playing. But I'm probably going to have to. Kerr on precipice of history. The next win the Warriors secure, Kerr will hold the franchise record for victories as a head coach. He's currently tied with the late Al Attles with 557. More than anything, it's just a sign of organizational stability and success, Kerr said. My general managers, both Bob Myers and Mike Dunleavy, having great faith in me, and Joe Lacob, as well when things haven't gone well. I think in a lot of other franchises, I could have been fired maybe after we had the worst record in the league or didn't make the playoffs the next year. That's how a lot of franchises operate. To me, the record is really an organizational one. real reason Jimmy Butler left Miami Heat to join Golden State Warriors. Jimmy Butler leaving the Miami Heat for the Golden State Warriors before the trade deadline has certainly shaken up the landscape of the NBA. Suddenly, the Warriors are looking like championship contenders again. Stephen Curry has rediscovered his MVP form, Draymond Green has declared they'll win a ring, and the role players are flourishing. The Jimmy Butler effect seems to be a very real thing. It has been the opposite for the Heat. They are currently on a 6-game losing streak, and a play-in spot is the best they can hope for. When they had Butler, the Heat knew they could even make a deep playoff run even from this situation. That is no longer the case. Butler had guided the Heat to 2 NBA Finals, and there had been suggestions in the past that he would like to finish his career in Miami. So, why exactly did he decide to leave, and in such a messy manner? According to Mark J. Spears on Enscape, Butler wanted to be traded because he felt the Heat were moving in a direction without him in mind, and he wanted to be more valued. Also, he felt wanted by the Warriors. Of course, one cannot overlook the fact that the Warriors handed him a 2-year, $111 million contract extension. The Heat did not seem keen to hand Butler a new deal, which was the beginning of the end in the eyes of many. At the end of the day, it is Butler who seems to have come out on top. He has a new contract and the chance to compete for a championship alongside players who have already won multiple and know what it takes to get to the mountaintop. If playoff Jimmy shows up, it might be night for a lot of teams around the league. Warriors' one weakness heading into playoffs: Stephen Curry needs to fix this problem. Teams take advantage. The Golden State Warriors are the hottest team in the NBA, but they need to address key weaknesses before they make a run at the postseason. On March 13, the Golden State Warriors cruised past the Sacramento Kings, and Stephen Curry became the first player in NBA history to make 4,000 career three-pointers. James Harden is second on the list, but he is more than 800 buckets behind Curry, so it stands to reason that the record is virtually unbreakable. 1. Curry and the Warriors, after trading for Jimmy Butler, have gone 13-2 and look energized and refreshed. At one point, they were 10th in the Western Conference and in danger of missing even the play-in tournament, and now they have risen up to 6th place and look like one of the best teams in the league. However, the Warriors are still very much a circus and have their fair share of distractions, which could slow them down in the postseason. Golden State has one flaw: Stephen Curry can fix it. Despite being a very good team, the Warriors are a caricature of their past success. At times, it seems like the team is more concerned with giving Curry a viral moment than they are about winning. His signature night-night celebration goes viral on social media every time he hits it, and since it usually comes in a win, the Warriors are happy to see it no matter the context. However, in the playoffs, the Dubs need to win no matter what, and should leave creating content to the professionals. Tap into NBA analysis for that. Right now, they have all the tools possible, but they just have to make sure that when they get into games where there might be another celebration happening or something big around the game, they focus on not losing leads, said Zena Keita on the Athletic NBA Daily podcast. Weekend discussion thread: what seed will the Warriors end up with in the Western Conference? How high can they climb? Welcome to a new feature here at Golden State of Mind, Daily Community Questions. They won't always occur on weekends, but on most weekdays I'll schedule a discussion prompt for early in the morning, so the community can debate a topic, share ideas, and maybe even arrive at conclusions about the Golden State Warriors. We start today with a basic, but important one: what seed will the Warriors end up with in the Western Conference standings? It's a topic I write about frequently, including yesterday. The Dubs currently occupy the 6th seed, which is the final guaranteed playoff spot. If they drop into the 7th seed or lower, they'll be forced to compete in the play-in tournament to earn their playoff spot. It's a very close race over there, as the Dubs try to hold off the Minnesota Timberwolves and LA Clippers. But they're not just looking behind them, they're also looking ahead. The Warriors are only 3 games behind the Houston Rockets and the injured Los Angeles Lakers, and only 4 games behind the Denver Nuggets and Memphis Grizzlies. It would take a lot going right, but the 2nd seed isn't entirely out of play for the Dubs. underscore 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 underscore. Latest video from SB Nation. So where do you think they end up? My prediction is that they slide into the 5th spot, likely displacing the Rockets. That could potentially set up a dynamic first-round matchup with the Lakers.